Welcome guys, I'm HOJ, and in today's video we're going to be doing a best of one standard event. The standard events are back up online with Boros Mobilize. So I took the Mardu version and just kind of updated it to make it two colors a little bit smoother. So first of all, kind of go over the deck updates, how to play, some of the play priorities, and then we'll go through the event and the games. And then at the end, I'll do a wrap up and we'll look at deck statistics. In the video description, you're going to find all of my playlists, including all of the best of one standard events, my limited content, and all of my specific deck playlists. In addition, you'll also see the deck list on moxfield.com, as well as the deck statistics on untapped.gg. Also, if you want to check out my other channel, I am a writer. I write science fiction and fantasy, so there's a link for that as well. And then in addition, if you like this content and you would like to see more and you want to subscribe, there's that link also. All right, let's go ahead and jump in. So after playing the Mardu version of Mobilize, I really got a feel for kind of what cards were working and maybe what cards were kind of not performing as well. And basically, it's just going to be more streamlined as a two-color deck. The mana is way better, and a lot of the big power cards are coming out of red and white. So in this version of the deck, it is pretty creature-focused, so you have just a couple pieces of removal, but primarily it's going to be getting creatures on the board, getting an Anthem effect or a pump, and then pushing through for the final points. This deck is pretty, it's very explosive. It does a lot of damage very quickly, and I really like how it plays. So first of all, the Mobilize mechanic, if you're not familiar with it, the way it works is whenever a creature that has Mobilize attacks, you create a number of tapped and attacking 1/1 red warrior creature tokens equal to its Mobilize. So if it has Mobilize 2, you create 2 1/1 red warrior creature tokens that are tapped and attacking when this creature attacks, and then sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. So there are 3 cards in the deck that have Mobilize. You have Stadium Headliner, which is a 1/1 goblin warrior for 1. It has Mobilize 1, so when it attacks, you create a 1/1 attacking red warrior creature token, and then you sacrifice the creature token at the end of the next end step. In addition, it also has the ability for 1 red and 1 other to sacrifice this creature, and then it deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control to target creature. Now, it's worth noting, when you sack it, it doesn't count itself as one of the creatures, so you need to have enough other creatures to do the amount of damage that you want to do. But it does take into account any mobilized tokens. So a nice little way of kind of giving us some more spot removal inside of a creature. The next mobilized creature is Voice of Victory, which is kind of one of the best cards in the deck. It's 1 white and 1 other. It's a human bard. It's a 1/3 with Mobilize 2. And so when it attacks, you create 2 tapped and attacking 1/1 red warrior creature tokens that you sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step. In addition, your opponents cannot cast spells during your turn as long as Voice of Victory is in play. This is a very, very powerful effect, and it entirely shapes your play priorities, which we'll get into after I go through each card. Yeah, this completely warps the game. Very powerful, and not being able to have the opponent counter any of your stuff or kill anything on your turn as long as this is in play is extremely powerful. The third and final mobilized creature is Dalkovan Packbeasts, which is 1 white and 2 other, which is an Ox and a 0/4. It has Vigilance, so it doesn't tap when attacking, and it has Mobilize 3. So when it attacks, you create 3 tapped and attacking 1/1 red warrior creature tokens, and then you sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. This is great because not only does it create 3 separate tokens, but it also is a 0/4 wall, which can help you block in the mid game. And then we also have one land, the Dalkovan Encampment, which taps for white mana, and it comes in tapped unless you control a swamp or a mountain. So you need to have like a mountain in play, or a Sacred Foundry will do. But this can also, if you pay 1 white and 2 other and tap it, whenever you attack this turn, create 2 1/1 red warrior creature tokens that are tapped and attacking, and then you sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step. So it's another way to get some more Mobilize. So this is kind of the theme of the deck. And then in order to sort of support the Mobilize mechanic, I just tried to find some of the best cards to help support that. So at the 1 mana slot, we've got 2 copies of Authority of the Consuls. This is also kind of a meta call. It's very, very good against mono red and Boros aggro right now, Boros burn specifically. Basically, this just helps deal with all of their haste creatures. Every creature in that deck has haste, and so you nullify an immense amount of damage just by playing 1 or 2 copies of this. I like 2 copies because you have a decent chance to hit it, but you don't see too many multiples. But the main reason this is in this deck is because it is an incredibly aggressive card when paired with an aggressive deck. So being able to play this makes it so that your opponent has to wait an extra turn before they can block with any creature, since all their creatures come in tapped. And then whenever a creature an opponent control enters, you gain a life. So the incidental life really helps, since you are taking some pain from your own lands. Next, we have Descendant of Storms, which is 1 white. It's a human soldier, which is a 2/1. And then whenever this creature attacks, you can pay 1 white and 1 other. If you do, it endures 1. And endure, you can choose to either give it a +1/+1 counter or create a 1/1 white spirit creature token. Now, this token that you create does not come in tapped and attacking, but it does stick around. So a little different than the Mobilize mechanic, but you're also able to create more tokens this way. And then we have Stadium Headliner, which we already touched on. So you have 10 1-drops with 8 creatures that are 1-drops. So this gives us a pretty reliable ability to play a 1-drop creature with some regularity most of our games on turn 1. For the 2-drops, we have 4 copies of Neighborhood Guardian, which is 1 white and 1 other. It's a unicorn, which is a 2/2, and whenever another creature you control with power 2 or less enters, target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So this pairs very well with Mobilize. Whenever Mobilize triggers and one of those tapped 1/1 red warrior creature tokens comes in, it will trigger Neighborhood Guardian to be able to place a +1/+1 counter, or excuse me, place a +1/+1 effect on a creature which lasts until end of turn. This is a really nice way to protect your Mobilize creatures, since they may not have much power or toughness, but if you play a Neighborhood Guardian after you have one in play, you can safely attack with like a Voice of Victory or a Stadium Headliner and be able to protect it by buffing the creature that's attacking with Mobilize. You can also put it on tokens, spread the damage however you want. It's a very powerful supporting effect for the Mobilize mechanic. Then we've got 4 copies of Sheltered by Ghosts, which is one of the premium removal tools that we have, which also gives us a big source of lifelink. So this is 1 white, 1 other. It's an enchantment, which is an aura. You enchant a creature you control. When this aura enters, exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls until this aura leaves the battlefield. And then the enchanted creature gets +1/+0 and has lifelink and ward 2. So one of the nice things about Sheltered by Ghosts, one of the inherent weaknesses with auras is that your opponent has a window. So when you target a creature with the aura, they can respond by killing the creature and essentially nullifying the effect, and you kind of get blown out. With Voice of Victory, the utility of Sheltered by Ghosts goes up immensely. Because when you have a Voice of Victory in play and it's your turn, they cannot respond, and so this will always land. The only possible way that they can respond is if they have a creature ability, since they can't cast spells, but they could use creature abilities that are on the board. but this makes Sheltered by Ghosts like 50% better. And then you can put it on a creature, remove whatever threat you need to, and get some lifelink to get some of that life back. 4 copies of Voice of Victory, which we already touched on. And then 4 copies of Frontline Rush. So this is 1 red and 1 white as an instant. You choose one. You either create 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens at instant speed, or target creature gets +X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. So as you can imagine, with Mobilize, this is very powerful. For example, if you have attacked and you've got a couple Mobilize tokens that have come in, it's not unheard of for this to give anywhere from like +5/+5 to like +9/+9 in this deck. It's pretty insane. If you're making creature tokens, if you happen to have like a Neighborhood Guardian in play, you can at instant speed make 2 1/1 goblin creature tokens and get 2 instant triggers with Guardian to protect whichever creature you need to. So it's just very, has a lot of utility. You can also, if you're going up against counter magic, you can play it at their end of turn, make some tokens, untap, and then hopefully kill them. For your 3-drops, we have 4 copies of Dalkovan Packbeasts, which I already touched on as our Mobilize creature, and then 4 copies of Imodane's Recruiter. So this was really big and remains to be a great threat in red, which is 1 red and 2 other. It's a human knight that has also the ability to cast an adventure spell. If you choose to do the adventure side of it first, for trained troops, you pay 1 white and 4 other, which is a sorcery, and you can create 2 2/2 white knight creature tokens with vigilance. So if you're kind of mana flooded, it's a great way to get some extra value. If you just play the creature side of the token or of the card, either before or after casting the adventure, when this creature enters, creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain haste until end of turn, and it's a 2/2. So this buffs your whole team, gives everybody haste, and then you swing in for the win, hopefully. Now, unfortunately, the timing of this doesn't work with the Mobilize tokens, so you're only going to be giving haste and +1/+0 to your other creatures and not the tokens. So that's unfortunate, but it is still an incredibly powerful effect. And if you happen to have on like turn 4, maybe like a 1-drop and the Recruiter, you can play both of those, give them haste, swing in, and hopefully kill them. And then we also have 4 copies of Warleader's Call, which is 1 red, 1 white, and 1 other. It's an enchantment, and this is incredibly powerful in this deck. Creatures you control get +1/+1, and whenever a creature you control enters, this enchantment deals 1 damage to each opponent. So this will trigger every single time that you mobilize, which makes it so much more powerful. In addition to just buffing your entire team with the Anthem effect, you also have the trigger for the creatures coming in for damage, which is just amazing. For example, the Voice of Victory, which is a 1/3, when it attacks and create 2 1/1 tokens, normally would do a total of 3 damage. With Warleader's Call, it will do 8 damage because all 3 creatures are buffed, and then you have 2 triggers for damaging the opponent's face. A Dalkovan Packbeast goes from a 3/4 functionally with just the by itself to a 10/4 with the enchantment in play, because you get all 4 creatures are now buffed, and you get 3 additional triggers doing damage to the face. So this will turn Stadium Headliner from a 2/2 into a 5/5, or into a 5/2 essentially, just because of the triggers. So this is a very powerful effect, and it really works so well with Mobilize. I can't stress it enough. For the mana base, we have 22 sources. We have 19 lands that are able to produce white mana, and then anywhere from 14 to 18 lands that can produce red, and that's just depending on the Sunbillow Verge. So if this happens to be able to produce red, if you have a plains or a mountain in play also, then it can produce red mana. So you have 14 lands that can automatically produce red, and then sometimes you have another 4 that can produce red. So a pretty good split. For the breakdown, we've got 3 copies of Dalkovan Encampment, which I already talked about, 1 basic plains to go fetch in case we're dealing with land destruction, 3 copies of basic mountain, 4 copies of Inspiring Vantage, which comes in untapped if it's one of your first 3 lands and can produce red or white, and 4 copies of Sacred Foundry, which counts as both a mountain and a plains, and you can have it come in untapped if you pay 2 life, otherwise it comes in tapped, can produce red and white. And then 4 copies of Sunbillow Verge, which taps for white, and if you have a mountain or a plains, you could alternatively tap it for red. And then 3 copies of Starting Town, which will come in untapped if it's the first, second, or third turn of the game. It can tap for colorless mana, or you can tap it and pay a life to produce 1 mana of any color. So those are the lands. Now for kind of the general plan and the sort of what's possible with this deck and the play priorities. So if you're looking at kind of like a goldfish situation against a opponent who is not responding with an empty board, if you play either a Stadium Headliner or Descendant of Storms on turn 1, and then on turn 2 you play a Voice of Victory, you will then attack for 2 damage, getting them to 18 on turn 2. On turn 3, if you play a Warleader's Call, you then will attack with both the Stadium Headliner, for example, and the Voice of Victory for a total of 13 damage between the 2 of them, bringing them from 18 down to 5. And then, or I'm sorry, from 18 down to 5. And then on turn 4, if you do anything, they die. So Warleader's Call, incredibly powerful. If you go, for example, turn 1 Headliner, turn 2 Voice of Victory, attack for 2 on turn 2, turn 3 Dalkovan Packbeasts, and then you attack for 5 on turn 3, bringing them from 18 down to 13, and then on turn 4, play Warleader's Call, you attack for like 24. It's completely absurd. And there's a lot of different lines you can do, whether it's with Warleader's Call or Recruiter. So in general, you're attacking on turn 2 for about 2 damage. On turn 3, you're attacking for about 5 or 6 damage, just depending on what permutation of cards you have. And then on turn 4, you're attacking anywhere from 22 to 24 damage, just depending on what permutation you have. So it's very, very powerful against an empty board, an opponent who's not responding. That's an ideal goldfish situation, just kind of what's possible. And then for your play priorities, so for turn 1, these are about the same. They're pretty close. Certain situations, Descendant of Storms might be better because if you're up against like mono black, you can make some additional tokens if you're worried about like a lot of removal to help kind of mitigate some of that. It's also able to be a 3-2 attacking on turn 2 if you're up against like another 1-2 or something that the opponent plays. So possibly a little bit better to play this on turn 1. However, the Headliner is also very close because this can attack for 2 on turn 2. If you happen to play like a Neighborhood Guardian on turn 2, then this attacks for 3 because you get the additional trigger. So it's pretty close. Your best turn 2 play is far and away Voice of Victory. If you play this on turn 2, they cannot respond. So once it comes into play, they can't cast spells, so they can't kill anything, they can't counter anything. It's amazing. This is your best turn 2 play, and it's not even close. The next best turn 2 play you can make is any permutation of 2 1-drops. They're all great. So if you can go 2 1-drops, that's the next best thing. After that, your next best play on turn 2 would be the Neighborhood Guardian. This is ideally played, if in a perfect hand, you'd rather play this on like turn 3 or turn 4. But if you have to play it on turn 2, you certainly can. And probably the last turn 2 play that I would make would be the Frontline Rush as 2/1/1 creature tokens, just because you typically get better mileage for a pump effect later on. This is an amazing card on turn 3 or turn 4. For turn 3, kind of depending on what you're going up against. For example, if you know that you're like walking into a potential board wipe situation, it could be great to play a Warleader's Call on turn 3 to kind of hedge. If you know that you have to play a little bit of defense also, maybe if you're going up against like mono red, you can play a Packbeast on turn 3, which is great because you can block and then also set up a big attack for turn 4. So it kind of depends on what you're up against. Typically, your best turn 3 play will be Warleader's Call. If you have Voice of Victory in play on turn 3, it is definitely going to be a Warleader's Call because you can typically push through somewhere between 8 and 13 damage with this in play on turn 3. And if you can get that in, even if they wipe your board on turn 4, if you can go like Recruiter, Recruiter by itself will attack for 5 damage if you have a Warleader in play. So typically, yeah, your best turn 3 play is going to be Warleader's Call, except in certain situations against, like where you're racing against mono red, Packbeasts could potentially be better. But if you have a Voice of Victory in play, Warleader's Call is almost always the right call on turn 3. And then turn 4, Recruiter plus anything is just amazing. Warleader's Call is great. And this would probably be the other great turn 4 play is if you can go any combination of Neighborhood Guardian plus Frontline Rush, or 2 Frontline Rushes, or 2 Neighborhood Guardians, the triggers will just be absolutely bananas. So yeah, that's kind of the deck. That's how to play it. And let's go ahead and jump into this event. All right, here we go. It's also really nice kind of talking through sort of the play priorities and how to play it because it helps me also. But I highly recommend if you are able to craft this deck, I think this deck can definitely take you to Mythic. All right, opening hand looks good. We could use another land, but other than that, we have some really strong cards, so happy to keep. Notably, no 1-drop and no 3rd land, but other than that, I'm pretty happy with it. And Voice of Victory is just the very best 2-drop we can have. Looks like we're up against Boros also. Now this could be any version of Boros, but most likely it's going to be Boros Burn. So we're probably looking at like either they're holding up like Lightning Strike or some other form of burn, or they're going to try to like do Boros Charm to face. The nice thing about Voice of Victory is they cannot Lightning Strike it because the moment it comes into play, they can't cast spells. So we basically waste 2 of their mana. This card is so good, it's ridiculous. Now they need to choose if they want to Lightning Strike at main phase. And if they do, we're happy to play Dalkovan Packbeasts and set up. If they don't, we could even go for Warleader's Call, bringing it out of burn range and attacking for 8. Yeah, so they are going for the Helix here. That makes sense. We do have a very nice follow-up, though, with Dalkovan Packbeasts. This is already out of burn range, so fantastic against this deck. And it is a lot more powerful with Warleader's Call. Oh, interesting. So this may be even a like similar version of this deck. That's kind of cool. Shocking Sharpshooter is another possible card you could look at for a deck like this. Okay. So they did have the removal. So we're just going to offer another one and see if they can do a three-peat. One major weakness of this deck against like decks that run like a 4-set of Authority of the Consuls. Authority of the Consuls kind of just beats Packbeast. But if they don't have Authority, it's great. So if you're ever up against a deck that has Authority of the Consuls, Omenpaths is also another card to consider for this deck. You want to try to deal with Authority ASAP. That could be a good target for like Sheltered by Ghosts. So we are potentially putting that in burn range, but I think it's okay considering they only had one card and they already used one. But as a consideration. Now, we're very happy to go Neighborhood Guardian plus Warleader's Call, and this is going to be a whole lot of damage. The other option we can do here is we could just go for Recruiter for trained troops, but I think that this is going to be a bigger pump. The other thing we can do is we can also go for Warleader's Call plus Sheltered by Ghosts, which I like. So if they have another Get Lost, we are potentially in trouble here. Neighborhood Guardian would play around that a little bit, but I think that Omenpaths is dangerous enough that we should consider removing it here. So I'm going to go for it. If they've got it, we might lose on the spot. I hope they don't. So yeah, in hindsight, it probably would be better to play the Sheltered by Ghosts before playing the Warleader's Call, just in case they did have removal. And now we're swinging in for 11. Next turn, Guardian plus Recruiter is going to be a lot of damage. Overlord of the Mistmoors is another card you could consider for a deck like this. It is a little bit expensive though, but if you're going larger with like Elspeth, Overlord of the Mistmoors, and other token generators, could certainly be a good card. Alright, I don't think we need the extra point from map. So if we do Guardian plus Recruiter, it's a ton of damage. I don't think that this one will matter that much. I guess we can find out here. And the nice thing is with Guardian, we can trigger enough so that we can protect the Packbeasts from being taken down. All right, so we're going to get 3 triggers. We can give this at least 8 toughness. It's going to put it out of range. Again, I don't think... Let's see. If they block, 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 and then block one of the others here. We're still going to hit them for a minimum of 3, 5, 7. With the triggers, they could take 8. So I don't think it'll matter. I think we can just push. I was trying to decide if taking the 2 damage here would matter. All right, so let's put our pack beasts out of range. So I don't think we can kill them this turn, but we'll get them quite low. If we make it 6 toughness, we need 1 more. And then we can try to make it a little harder. I guess let's just put 1 more point here in toughness on the pack beast. Since they can like double block our Guardian. And it's still pretty easy to kill the Guardian. I guess there's an argument for like using the Foundry to try to like get 1 more point of toughness on the Guardian. Just then we could have taken like the 3rd trigger and made this like an X5 to make it a little more annoying to block. So I suppose we could have like tried to do that. I don't think functionally it's going to matter, but it might. It's possible. All right, so they're going to go to 1. I guess if we had put in like the last counter on one of these creatures, they wouldn't have been able to double block the Guardian. I'm just gonna have this enter tapped here, just in case they board wipe and we need to put this on a new creature. So if they have removal, if they have like get lost this turn, I suppose like we could have potentially lost control there. But yeah, that was fun. All right, 1-0. I'm definitely intrigued by them using like Omenpaths and like Overlord of the Mistmoors. Like those are definitely cool ideas. Also the Sharpshooter. I like our mix of creatures, but yeah. Anyways, this is a great opening hand. Happy to keep. Could use 1 more land, and we're feeling pretty good. There we go. Okay. Order of the land doesn't really matter. I guess let's start with Vantage. And play our 1 drop. The only thing I don't like about an Omenpaths is he has 2 toughness. So like if they hold up Shock or Burst Lightning, they can just get you. And that's like a 3 mana investment for no effect if they just kill it right off the bat. Okay, what does this do? Ooh, that's pretty nasty. All right, so now we have Voice of Victory is our best turn 2 play. And I think we just want to sit back with Descendant of Storms. We're much better off playing Voice of Victory here. Fortunately, they've got the Seam Rep. nasty deck here. Alright, so next turn they get a +1/+1 counter on something. We could Sheltered by Ghosts here and play like a Stadium Headliner. Or I guess a Descendant of Storms. The other option, we could go like one of our 1-drops plus like Frontline Rush if we think we might just die. We could also Shelter by Ghost their token. The problem is this Scavenger is just an issue. The Seam Rip is also really nasty. Yeah, because like if they put the token here, they could attack for 9. If they have anything else, like we could just die. We might have to Shelter by Ghost to get rid of the token, just so we can get an attack in. Otherwise, if we just like take off, all right, here we gotta get something going. I'm just gonna play a 1-drop here. We could have played the Packbeasts, but I think, all right, just to not waste any more time. I think I'm just going to take their token just so we can get an attack in and we don't just die immediately. It was a bit rushed. Maybe Packbeast would have been better. I think we needed an attack in though, just we were getting low on life. The real answer is we need another Sheltered by Ghosts. Ooh, and they had another Sheltered by... Okay. It usually comes down to a duel between Sheltered by Ghosts. Okay, they still had it. Yeah. Can't fight that. It was a nasty series of cards. 1-1. All right, I really like this hand. We're going first. We've got 3 land. We have a 1/2, something to do on turn 3. We do need to start with starting town since we don't have access to red mana otherwise. So we're going to take a little bit of pain. Looks like Jeskai control or possibly 4-color control. Now we just want to get Voice of Victory going and hopefully set up a big attack. Okay, Imodane's is great, but I think we want to set up some tokens first. I guess we have an extra mana here, so we can just use a map token on our headliner and then do end of turn Frontline Rush. Do we want another headliner? I think we do, because if we have 4 mana next turn, we can go like this plus Recruiter, which is pretty amazing. So, looks like they're not going to go for digging and they're going to wait and hold up like Helix or maybe another Get Lost. Either way, I'm going to try to set up a big attack here. The nice thing is if it's not specifically No More Lies, then they can't stop the effect. If they specifically have No More Lies, it sucks. The other thing we could do, if we think they might have No More Lies specifically, we could attack and then like set up, force them to like board wipe, and then we can just get them the following turn. So if we play Headliner and then go for Recruiter and they counter it and then board wipe next turn, we're kind of sunk. So maybe the play is to just like try to force a board wipe and then immediately after that kill them. It's the open mana that bothers me. I think specifically because they could have No More Lies here, it's better to not attack with everything. Let's put this on a token. Just to spread around the damage. Okay, and now we'll just attack and try to set up another end of turn into a big push. Okay, have Get Lost. Sure. So it's possible that they didn't have No More Lies there. It's just that if they did have No More Lies, like they would completely destroy us. So I think here we just play Headliner. And then we could potentially even go for like these two next turn. Although I guess we could draw into something. So maybe we just wait for end of turn here in case they board wipe. We're trying to force a tap out so we can get like free reign. Oh, they are 4-color. So I think they still have Day. Now they're probably just holding up Inevitable Defeat, so they're functionally at 14 life. But this is kind of good because this means that they won't be able to counter the effect. Also, they only have 1 blue mana. Oh, that's a nice pickup. So I think that they could potentially, I suppose they could potentially have No More Lies. I guess if we're worried about No More Lies, we can... I think we just go for it at this point. I don't think they've got No More Lies. They might, but even if they don't, this is decent. Yeah. And that was enough. Man, I really miss Imodane's Recruiter. Like, it changes the game so much against control. Just feels so much easier. All right, 2 and 1. Okay, we've got mana. We could use a 3rd land, but this will work. Yeah. Okay, we could use another white source, it'd be great. Now it's possible, it's worth noting that like mono green, they do have the 3/2 haster on 2, so Authority could be good here. So I don't know if it's better to play Authority here or if it is Descendant of Storms. We are on the draw, so they are technically the aggressor, but if we can turn the corner, it'd be great. If they don't have it, obviously, then it's not nearly as good. I don't know. I think I'm just going to hedge here and play Like if we had a board presence, authority like gets a lot better, but because we're not there yet, and they don't have too many haste creatures, it's not as good. Okay, so Gruul. It's probably some sort of pump deck. I don't really want to waste all my mana just to try to trade with fear of missing out. So I think we just want to add more to the board. Typically, whenever you can double spell, it's always worth it. Guardian does get better if you play stuff after it. But if they have removal, like we are kind of more blown out, if that makes sense. So, and we'll also have Frontline Rush. So I think playing 2 spells here is a little better. Ooh, Packbeasts is great. Alright, so again, not crazy about attacking here, just wasting mana. And let's just play Packbeasts and set up for next turn. This turn 4 is really backbreaking. Sure. Ooh, and a Voice of Victory. Wow. So let's play Neighborhood Guardian. And then attack and see what they do. We can Frontline Rush in response if we need to. And if we don't have to, then we can just go for Voice of Victory here. I suppose if we just go for Voice of Victory, we're going to have 4 counters to dole out. We can give this 1 point of toughness, so 1, and then we can make this big enough to live through stuff. I think that's actually pretty good. And setting up even bigger for next turn, I kind of like that. So I think we just go Voice of Victory instead. And just set up again. Alright, let's make this a 1/5. Now let's make this, let's see, they can do 4 to it. Because we want to give it at least 1 point. So it's a 3/2. We can make it a 4/3, so they have to double block it. If they want to kill it. And then I think let's give the other point to, I don't know, one of these tokens. Do they have another bushwhack? They do. Okay, that's kind of annoying, but it's not the end of the world. Another Packbeast is really good. So now we can just attack and then Frontline Rush whatever they decide to block. Because they would need to commit at least 2 creatures on Packbeast. I guess we can make this a 3/2, and then that's still pretty good. I think that's better than just setting up again. Okay, so now we can go ahead. So we send it through. They're taking 6, 3, 6, and then the 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, they're just dead. Okay, that works. Cool. Nice little +8/+8. All right, 3 and 1. Quick break. Yeah, I really like this deck. All right, opening hand, we've got 3 lands, stuff to do on 2 and 3. I love it. Let's lead out with Sunbillow Verge. Okay, so as I was talking about before, this card is pretty good against Packbeasts. It basically means they do no damage. We need to get one of our Warleader's calls or use a Sheltered by Ghost to get rid of Consuls, because it is one of the cards that does kind of beat this deck. Neighborhood Guardian does some work to try to deal with it, but it's worth noting that it's a little rough. All right, let's play Packbeasts here. And unfortunately, Authority of the Consuls is really good in the meta right now, so there's a very real chance you're going to see a lot of this card. We do have other ways to pump, like Recruiter pumps, you know, Guardian, and then Warleader's Call. So I guess this is like either Jeskai or maybe 4-color control. We want to be a little careful about pushing into a board wipe here. And I'm trying to decide if we want to commit another Packbeast. I think it might be a little dangerous if like they have like turn 4 board wipe. So maybe the play here is we do like Frontline Rush end of turn, possibly set up for, yeah, I think this is enough right now to just kind of threaten and see what they do. Like we can also, the problem is like Consuls makes Recruiter a lot worse, right? So maybe we go like Headliner. I don't think I want to give them 3 creatures though. Okay, if they want to kill it, that's fine. I'm willing to replace it. And then let's diversify our threats here a little bit. We could have gone Headliner, but again, I don't want to give them 3 creatures. Okay, so they are all gas and no land. Good to know. So if we sheltered by ghosts this Consuls, we could have that on either this turn or a different turn to make them do a lot more damage here with Packbeasts. I mean, it's a decent option. I guess let's go ahead and try to use this map token first, see what we get. They're considering removing it in response. Interesting. Okay, well, I'm glad we didn't go for Sheltered by Ghosts. Descendant. Yeah, actually, Descendant is decent against him. Okay, I think since we're just dealing with open mana, I kind of feel like we attack one more turn here and see what they do. Yeah. The Guardian is pretty useful, so let's spread out the counters here. Actually, let's put all the counters on these tokens since they're going away, in case they've got removal. Consult, sure. Looking for land, looking for board wipe, no doubt. Yeah, we didn't quite have in lethal range, but we were pretty close. So here's kind of a question. Do we want to go for Headliner this turn? Again, giving them 3 threats I don't love. Sheltered by Ghosts is another option we could do this turn to set up for Recruiter next turn. We could also do Sheltered by Ghosts next turn. Like Sheltered by Ghosts into Recruiter. I think I kind of like that a little bit more. Just play it safe here. Like there's a very real chance that they just board wipe. Do they have Day? They have Get Lost. Okay. Yeah, so Frontline Rush really is better if we can get like a bunch of creatures in play. That being said, if we have 5 mana committed next turn to like Recruiter plus Sheltered by Ghosts, maybe we Frontline Rush now. I think we do it now. All right, and I think we put the Sheltered by Ghosts. God. They've used 2 Get Lost. They probably have like Helix, but they can't cast Helix. If they have another Get Lost, I think we put this on a token so that we spread out our threats. Now we can Imodane's Recruiter. They could counter it. I guess if they counter it here, how much are they taking? 4, 6, 7. If they counter it into board wipe, we're just kind of sunk. It's the only problem. I feel like they might have it. They definitely like if they board wipe and they get this thing back, I think we just go for it. If they've got the counter here, it's annoying. Yeah, that's going to do it. All right, 4 and 1. All right, opening hand looks good. We've got a nice 1-2. If we can draw a land, we're in business. We're on the draw. Into double recruiter is always fun. Ooh, that was perfect. Yeah, let's do Inspiring Vantage. We got to be careful to do the mountain before the Dalkovan Encampment to make sure it comes in untapped. All right, we're up against Reanimator. So because we don't have Consuls flanker, we have to be faster than them. Which we may or may not. I guess we will find out. All right, so now we've played Guardian. This gives us an extra trigger here so we can protect the headliner. Surprised that they didn't block with Greeter there. I expected they wanted to fill their yard. But maybe they're worried about like a bigger threat. Alright, so they kill Guardian. It's annoying but expected. Vantage. Let's go for Packbeasts this turn. Do we push? I don't think it matters. Like, unless we draw into... I guess the thing is if we, like... Actually, turn 4 is just going to be Recruiter plus Descendant, so we might as well push. I suppose, like, if we happen to, like, draw next turn into Warleader's Call, then, like, having this around is better. But clearing a blocker is always good, too, so... I think we just push. Okay, they have Arden, which is annoying, but they don't have the Bringer of the Last Gift, thank God. At least not yet. And Arden is very... Okay, Arden's probably good enough. Yeah. It's pretty good. Probably just dead, but, you know, we'll fight it. Ooh, Guardian. Actually, oh god, this thing has vigilance. It's so brutal. And they can get back Town Greeter next. Oh god. I think we're pretty mostly just dead, but we do Guardian plus Descendant. Make this thing a 1/5. If we attack, we can give it 3 more triggers, make it an 8 toughness, which is not enough. Yeah, that's awkward. So no attack. I think we're just dead, honestly. Like, this is just a deck that if they get there before you do, if they're going first. Like, we can kill on turn 4, but so can they. They have to have the Karavik or whatever the thing is called. Kavero, the Mind Bitten. So they have to actually have it on turn 4, but They usually do. I'm mostly just curious what we draw here. Like, we're just to see if there's any possible outs. I don't think there's any way. They just went too high. Yeah. Fortunately, they beat us to it. So a consideration there, like if you're seeing a lot of Reanimator, you could consider running some number of Consuls Flanker. The problem is like the slot that you would have to cut would be Imodane's Recruiter, and I think Imodane's Recruiter just gives the deck so much that I just want to race it. And like if they go first and they hit it on turn 4 and they just get there, I mean, it is what it is. All right, 4 and 2. But I like making like a very like strong proactive plan that you can just execute, and like, you know, if you lose the random race, it happens, but just having a plan. All right, we've got turn 2, turn 3, nothing on 1, and we need another land. But we're on the draw, so I think keep this. Okay, still need a land. Up against Reanimator again. And this is a very popular deck, so like maybe it's just right to like water the deck down with Consuls Flanker. Alright, there's the land. So now we'll just do end of turn Frontline Rush. Problem is, like, they're going first again, so if they've got it, they've got it. I profoundly do not care about their town greeter. Okay, so they have Cavero, but it's, or I mean, they have Overlord, but it's not the juiciest target. It's certainly fine, but it's not their best target. Okay, I think we need one more turn of setup here. Packbeasts into either Warleader's Call or Descendant of Storms plus Recruiter. Fortunately, can't attack here. Yeah, I have the removal for it, unfortunately. Sucks. Yeah, it's a very natural turn 3 Awaken. They have full play set of these, so it's something that just, ugh. And it's any non-land permanent, which is just very difficult to deal with. All right, so now what's the plan? They don't have anything in the yard yet. We could consider using Shelter by Ghost to get rid of this, but we have a turn to figure that out if we want to do that. We could set up here with Warleader's Call, or we could go like Descendant of Storms plus Frontline Rush into hopefully a big Recruiter. It's another option. I think it's a little better considering we don't have any mobilized creatures to go for the second option. So I think I'm just going to go... You could also go like Descendant plus Sheltered by Ghosts to cut down on their milling. But then if they have removal, then that's also annoying. Yeah, because we're going to have to eventually deal with this. So maybe we just deal with it now. It's like we won't have time next turn. If they get a juicy target, then they're looking for Kavero. Problem is they can block this easily, so I think I'm just going to try the other option and just go for the Frontline Rush end of turn. And hope they don't hit it here. Oh my god. Whew. Got some good stuff in the yard. Okay, don't have Kavero in hand, so they're really looking for it. It's not in the yard, not in the hand. So now if we go for Recruiter, not pushing that much. Warleader's Call does a bit more damage. We could Shelter by Ghosts. Now they have 5 mana, so they could play maybe like another Steam Core to try to get there. Yeah, they're just not there yet. So I think we're just better off going for a Warleader's Call here. And then just pushing, they probably trade here, but we can get some damage in. We got to start hitting their life total. They've got action. Okay. Yeah. So far they don't have them yet. So they could potentially draw into them, but they're not there yet. Yeah, they're gonna dig, and then if they have land, then they could potentially still get there this turn. Okay. Got our Warleader's Call. We saw that coming. Okay, they're still not there yet. Okay, so now I think we just Warleader's Call again. Hope to like, because we can give them an extra turn on this. We got to get it before the turn after that. So I think Warleader's Call is the move. Okay, it's still not there yet, unless they naturally drew it. Oh god, okay. This could be trouble. Wow, it's gotta be in the last 22 cards. I don't know what's going on. So there's a decent chance they have it in hand now. Okay, but they paid the life, so what do they have? Probably, I guess, more removal, like Bitter Triumph. Either Bitter Triumph, Cash Grab, maybe? They either have Cash Grab, Bitter Triumph, or Dispelling Exhale. Alright. Okay, we have to... No, we still don't have to get rid of that thing, because again, I guess they could natural cast Bringer. They're almost there. They have 7 mana, so we should probably get rid of this thing. Because we can't kill them with Imodanes. Imodanes will do 1, and then 3, 6, 9, they block 1, they don't die. Okay, we gotta get rid of it. I guess actually technically we should have attacked first for the extra damage and then get rid of it. So that was a mistake. Yeah, we should have attacked first there. Okay, there's a cash grab. If they had cash grab, there's not much we can do about it. You need a natural draw here to get them out of this. Okay, they've still got another chance at it. If they draw into it here. All right, so now we just go for Recruiter and Prey. Recruiter, hit them down to 6, and then they block 2 and die. That's the plan. Wow. They really... It must have been in like the last 15 cards. I don't even know what was going on there, but... So the real answer is maybe you need Consuls Flanker? I don't know. Just be faster, I guess. 5 and 2. Alright, opening hand looks great. We've got stuff on 2. Again, could use another land and no 1-drop, but happy to keep this. We have our best 2-drop in the deck. Okay, ooh, there's the 3rd land. That's great. Ooh, mirror match? Okay. Cool story. Yeah. Alright, we're gonna play Packbeasts, but let's get in. Are you afraid to block? You should be. Yeah. Packbeasts is the secret tech. Nobody saw it coming. So they easily could have like Helix here or whatever. I'm not blocking. Yeah, or something like that. Okay, are we just dead? Have they got it? Oh my god, did we just die? Wow. Wow, that was awesome. We didn't die, but that was pretty cool. Oh god, that was, wow, that was a lot of damage. Okay, I don't think we can kill them, right? We're at 17. So I think we just play another Packbeasts and set up. If we get another land next turn, it could be, if we live another turn, that is, it can be quite good. Yeah, so I don't know if we attack with this voice. Definitely attack with Packbeasts. We can push 2 damage. I think we probably have to. Is the real answer. God, if we had another mana, we could kill them right now. 1, 2, 5, 7. Could give plus 14 if we had another mana. Right now we're doing 5, 6. We could do 13 damage this turn. It's funny. Maybe we're supposed to hold Frontline Rush here to have 2 blockers. I just don't know what they have in that deck. Yeah, I feel like that's maybe the safer play. Like, we could play Packbeasts here, but if they have like something else, we just die. Oh god, we have to play it now because they've got a stupid voice of victory. Okay, we almost lost the game right on the spot. Have you got it? Maybe they don't. They basically got it. Yeah, we're exactly dead. I suppose if we didn't attack with voice, maybe we'd still be in this. Yeah. Or drew a land last turn, that would have been great too. Alright. So that's where the fun ends, unfortunately. Five and 3. We made money, so that's cool, or virtual money. So always happy to see that. And let's go ahead and see what we got. Nice. And just kind of revisiting the deck. So we saw 2 Reanimator decks out of the 8 matches we played. Which is probably pretty close to what you see on ladder. So it is something you could consider. Oops, I look at the wrong deck. Here we go. Yeah, so, the question is, do you make room for Consuls Flanker? You could. You could also make room for, like, different kinds of burn. I think with this specific deck and its plan, it's pretty locked in. And I really do think that this can get you to Mythic. So if you decide to craft this and you make it to Mythic, put it in the comments. I want to hear it. But yeah, thank you guys again for watching. If you like this content and you want to see more, consider subscribing. And let's take a very quick look. All right, so here's the statistics. So yeah, we went 63% win rate, 67% win rate on the play, and 60% win rate on the draw. So overall, favorable. I'm pretty happy with this deck, and would love to hear your thoughts, guys. All right, we'll see you in the next one.